We're going to get started. You ready for me, Justin? Okay. Thank you so much. So before we call the meeting to order, I'd like to call upon Laurel Sacre to provide the land acknowledgement.
We respectfully acknowledge that we operate on the traditional and ancestral territories of the Mi'kmaq and Wolastoqiyik people who have lived in and cared for these lands for thousands of years. We recognize the enduring presence and deep cultural heritage of Indigenous communities across Atlantic Canada, and we honor their contribution past, present, and future. As a financial cooperative, we are committed to fostering respectful relationships with Indigenous people and advancing reconciliation through learning, unlearning, collaboration, and meaningful action. We encourage reflection on the history of this land and our shared responsibilities to support Indigenous voices and leadership.
Thank you, Laurel. Thank you, everyone. My name is Mary Jane Morrison, and I am the chair of the Sydney Credit Union. I'm going to call the meeting to order at 6 p.m. And this is the 91st annual general meeting, so welcome. Under the Sydney Credit Union bylaws, section 4.13, it states a number of members equal to the number of directors plus 5 constitutes a quorum for all meetings of members. I declare that we have 58 members in attendance, therefore we have quorum. At this time, I'd like to welcome visitors, Darren Chesson, partner and business advisor with MNP, and also Tom Vickers, a recently retired board member with Atlantic Central. This evening's meeting will be conducted under Robert's Rules of Order, following the Sydney Credit Union bylaws and the Nova Scotia Credit Union Act and regulations where applicable. I'd also like to advise you that our scrutineer for this evening, if needed, is Lisa LeBlanc, accountant with the Sydney Credit Union. Thank you, Lisa. I'd also like to ask that if you are moving or seconding a motion, to please state your name so that the corporate secretary can record your name for the minutes. The agenda has been inserted into your annual report. Are there any changes to the agenda? Okay, hearing none. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented? Okay, and a seconder, thank you, Bob. Okay, and Joe Legg seconding. Call for the question. All those in favor say aye. All those against? Abstentions? Motion is passed. The minutes of the 2025 annual general meeting, were available on our website and also available at all 4 branches for the past week. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the 2025 annual general meeting? Dave Myers. Thank you, Dave. I lost the mic. It's not, oh, there we go. Okay, all good. And can I have a seconder, please? Okay. Joyce Lind. Call for the question. All those in favor? Contrary minded? Abstentions? Motion passed. Is there any business arising from the minutes that's not already on the agenda? Okay, hearing none, I'll now hand over the chair to our first vice chair, Sarah McCachran.
Thank you, Mary Jane. it is my pleasure to introduce Chair Mary Jane Morrison to deliver the report of the Board of Directors.
Thank you, Sarah. Oh, the slides, right? Thanks, Pam. I think I'd be used to that after being in front of the class for so many years. So over the past year, Canadian credit unions have continued to operate in an environment defined by economic uncertainty, elevated interest rates, and heightened regulatory expectations. Sydney Credit Union is no exception to that reality. The board recognizes that disciplined financial stewardship is not a constraint on progress, but rather an enabler of resilience. Decisions throughout the year were guided by a commitment to controlling operating expenses, safeguarding capital, and maintaining liquidity strength. At the same time, the board remained focused on governance excellence. Directors continued to fulfill their fiduciary duties with diligence, independence, and a clear understanding of the credit union's strategic objectives. Importantly, the board acknowledges the balance required between fiscal restraint and investment in the future. While operating under an austerity lens, attention was still given to initiatives that strengthen member service support, technology, modernization, and reinforcing organizational resilience. I would like to now recognize the commitment and professionalism of my fellow board members who continue to dedicate their time, expertise, and judgment to providing strong governance on behalf of our members. And those pictures represent the 2025 Board of Directors. The Sydney Credit Union Charitable Foundation continues to execute on its mandate of supporting communities throughout the Cape Breton Regional Municipality. Through an outreach program between the CEO and the Foundation's board chair, Mike Mumbercat, we received a record number of funding requests and were able to grant funding to 8 organizations, which, oh, do you want me to just try that? No. Okay, maybe I am pushing it on the button. With a total of $48,400, the Eskasoni Red Tribe Boxing Club was one such organization. Okay, I really didn't touch it that time. Thank you. The Eskasoni Red Tribe Boxing Club was one such organization, which we funded for $10,000 for the expansion of their facility. We look forward to seeing the fine work that Barry Bernard will begin with the club that was established in 2015. On behalf of the board, I'd like to thank our management team and employees for their continued leadership and operational discipline. Together, we remain focused on sustaining a financially sound. It's not working. It's me. A financially sound, well-governed credit union that's positioned to serve members responsibly today and into the future. Okay.
Thank you, Mary Jane. Can I have a motion to approve the report of the Board of Directors? Thank you. And do I have a seconder? Thank you. Are there any questions or comments for Mary Jane on the report of the Board of Directors? Okay, call for the question. All those in favor say aye. Those against? Abstentions? Motion passed. I now hand the chair back to Mary Jane Morrison.
Thank you, Sarah. Here it is. Okay, next I'm going to introduce you to the Board of Directors for 2026, but first of all, I want to go through the process associated with the nomination. So the mandate for the nominating committee is to ensure that there are at least an equal number of nominations brought to the annual general meeting as there are vacancies. The nominating committee met on February the 3rd, March the 3rd, and March 31st, 2026. The purpose of the meetings were to ensure that the nominating process was followed in accordance with the bylaws of the Sydney Credit Union. Members of the nominating committee were myself, Ron Neville, Megan Ringer, and John Patrick Fitzgerald. The CEO, Caleb Gibbons, advised the group of the status of the following directors: Jay Holohan, completing his fourth three-year term and retiring; Joyce Lind, completing her second three-year term and reoffering; Holly Chisholm, completing her second three-year term and reoffering; and Ron Neville, completing his second three-year term and concluding his tenure. In summary, there were 4 director positions available on the board of the Sydney Credit Union on April 22nd, 2026. The nomination process was held from February the 13th to March the 13th, 2026, according to the timelines established in the Sydney Credit Union bylaws. Your committee reviewed the eligibility of all the nominations and confirmed that there were 4 eligible nominations received. All were submitted on time and in order, and the committee confirmed that all members are members in good standing. Accordingly, the following names are put forth by the nominating committee to fill the 4 vacancies on the board: Joyce Lind, Holly Chisholm, Owen Fitzgerald, and Catherine Donovan. With 4 nominations received for 4 vacancies, I wish to confirm that the committee has achieved its mandate by ensuring that there are at least an equal number of nominees for the number of vacancies. So accordingly, the committee recommends these 4 nominees be declared elected by acclamation. And do we need a motion for that? Okay, so can I have someone to move that report? Okay, and a seconder? Perfect, thank you. Call for the question. All those in favor? Contrary-minded? Abstentions? Motion passed. Thank you. So I'd like to introduce you to your 2026 board. For the members who are here, if you can stand when your name is called and remain standing until all names have been called. Sarah McCachran. Mike Mumbercat is not with us this evening. Holly Chisholm. Megan Ringer. Joyce Lind. Max Seal. Max is not with us this evening. Maura Ferguson McDonald. Lyndon Chisholm. Catherine Donovan. And Owen Fitzgerald. And myself, Mary Jane Morrison. Thank you very much. Okay. I'd now like to welcome Darren Chesson, partner and business advisor in the accounting firm of MNP, as chartered professional accountants, to present the report of the auditor. All my things. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Well, good evening, everyone. Pleased to be here to present the report of the auditor. So included in your package is a a summary of your financial statements. The board has made the decision to put in a summarized version as opposed to the 32-page version that is available at the credit union, as well as on the website, I would suspect. As auditors, we did meet with the audit committee on a number of occasions this year to talk about our plan and to talk about our findings, as well as to review the draft financial statements. Subsequent to that, on March 24th, your board reviewed the financial statements and approved those on behalf of the credit union. So here today in your package is an auditor's report on the summary financial statement. So we are reporting that our opinion is the financial statements that you see, the summary financial statements that are included, are a fair summary of the full financial statements that are available at the credit union, as I mentioned. Your financial statements are prepared in accordance with International Financial Reporting Standards. We've provided an unmodified opinion on the full financial statements, and some highlights of what you see in your package on the summary, the statement of financial position. You'll see total assets grew 4.3% and are now over $378 million. That allowed your loans to grow by 8% and now are just shy of $290 million. Your equity is $33 million, which is 8.7% of your total assets, which is pretty significant in that your regulator does require you to be at 5%, and you exceed that value. So that's a show of your strength as a credit union. On the statement of comprehensive income, this is where your income and expenses are disclosed. You'll see on your gross financial margin is a line that represents your cash management, and that provides the credit union with income of $10,501,000. From that, you go ahead and you look at your operating expenditures. This year, your expenditures are at $12.2 million, which are up from last year, and Caleb has included some of the reasons for that in his report. Each year, the credit union also has to look at your allowance, your loan portfolio, and determine what type of credit loss may exist within your portfolio. And on that annual assessment this year, it required you to include an expense of $309,000. So with the growth, that's not unexpected. After expenses and revenue are considered, and after taxes and provisions for your loan losses, the credit union ended the year with income of $350,936. The remaining of the statement provides a little bit more information on your equity as well as your cash flows, as well as some details around your operating expenditures. So I was pleased to present your report. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them or direct them to someone else. But that's my report. I won't make the motion.
No, I'll get somebody to make it. Are there any questions for Darren? Darren, thank you very much. Okay, hearing no questions. If we can have a motion to accept the report of the auditor. Okay. Catherine? Okay. And Bob Coffin, thank you, as our seconder. Call for the question. All those in favor? Contrary minded? Abstentions? Motion passed. Thank you. I'd now like to call upon Caleb Gibbons to present the report of the Chief Executive Officer.
Thank you, Mary Jane. Briefly, given that it's Earth Day, I wanted to point out that we passed out these seed cards. If you didn't get one from Curtis on the way in, it's a wildflower and people are starting their planting, so just wanted to point that out. So this is only, excuse me, 3 of the graphs that are in the actual annual report showing growth in assets, the graph for net income, as well as for our current equity position. We did have overall asset growth at just over 4% on the year. Atlantic had quite a strong performance this year as well, with performance across the Atlantic system of about 7%. As Darren explained, we ended up the year with a surplus at $351,000, which was about 63% below our plan for the year. Much of the swing happening across 4 items in Q4 of the year. One related to an overshoot on the expenses related to our data migration, which was the final stage of the merger between North Sydney and Sydney. There was also an item related to service award accruals, and 2 items related to our legacy, what will be a legacy branch at 95 Townsend. One related to depreciation and one related to the demolition costs. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a current slide. Total members' equity finished 2025 at $33.1 million. In terms of patronage, member benefits, we had to make the difficult decision this year not to pay patronage related to our 2025 results. The noted surplus of $351,000 was instead added to retained earnings, bringing total member equity to $33.1 million from $32.7 million at the end of 2024. In terms of cost pressures, operating margins were pinched in 2025, largely due to rising technology costs. League Data remains the Atlantic Credit Union Systems technology aggregator. Sorry, I should have had that slide advanced. I apologize. In terms of strategic hires, Jared Roy, who's with us tonight, joined Sydney Credit Union in June of 2025 as Vice President Growth and Member Experience, and it's certainly been the deep end of the pool, and we're really glad to have him with us. As I mentioned, North Sydney is now fully integrated into Sydney Credit Union's operations as of November 2025. Of note, it was the first Mambu on Mambu data migration, and several other credit unions have gone through that same process thus far in 2026. As outlined in the annual report, last year was our 90th anniversary. Sydney Credit Union celebrated 90 years of continuous service in 2025, and that was capped by an anniversary concert with ticket proceeds contributed to the Sydney Credit Union Charitable Foundation. In 2025, the Sydney Credit Union Charitable Foundation donated $48,400 to local charities and organizations. Typically, the annual golf tournament that we have, the Golden Jackets, is one of our major contributors, and certainly the concert did help this year as well. Also wanted to mention, in terms of the transitioning of our wealth management platform, in May of 2025, we transitioned to CU Financial Management for our members' wealth management needs. In terms of community focus, as the what I term the Big Five, the big banks continue to trim their bricks and mortar presence. Their branch network is shrinking. They're further compressing their teller hours. The credit union system, and Sydney Credit Union in particular, is investing in a new branch and headquarters, which is located at 95 Townsend. The construction's well underway, as many of you will have seen. We started in October. A very heavy winter in terms of snow days through our branch network, and I believe the count in terms of construction, they were at 20 or 21 days. So from our initial target of May of 27, we've now slipped to July 2027, and we should have steel incoming in the next 10 to 14 days, so you'll see a lot of changes happening at that corner. We've harmonized our teller hours across all 4 branches, 9:30 a.m. till 5 p.m., and another welcome change was dedicated commercial lines in both Sydney River and in downtown Sydney. And that it did get updated. So we are now expecting the branch to be completed in July of 2027. And the capital budget for 2026 includes $11 million in expenses related to this historic build. 2026, so in terms of a management team rebuild, we're rebuilding our team with renewed purpose and a plan to have our commercial team back to full strength by June of 2026. Curtis Tobin, I mentioned, who was handing out the cards, joined us in January on the commercial side, and we certainly have a very extensive list of deals in the pipeline for the next 3 to 4 months. In terms of strategic positioning, your island, your future, 2026 we see as a year of base building. My full focus, in concert with the management team, will be on earning meaningful, sustained surpluses going forward, and certainly the financial health of our members remains our top priority. So with that, do you want to open up for questions? Yeah. Any questions from the crowd? Go ahead. Well, it certainly wasn't an easy decision to make. I think it's probably been a couple of decades, and there certainly were years where patronage was lean, but you'd have to go back quite a long way to find it at zero. But it was a combination of, as Darren said, we're in a very favorable capital position right now versus what's required of the regulators, but we do have very significant capital spend related to the building this year. I'm quite confident that with several of those items in terms of the adjustments in Q4 of this year, I would put in the one-off category, so those are in the rearview mirror. So it's really trying to get into a position where we're back to a level of producing a surplus that allows us to pay patronage and stay comfortably above that 5% threshold. Okay, so no other questions. I'm going to hand it over to Mary Jane.
Thank you, Caleb. Okay, if I can get a motion to accept the report of the Chief Executive Officer, Megan Ringer, and a seconder. Sorry. Did you get that, Tracy?
I did not get the last name.
McNeil?
Erica McNeil.
McNeil? Thank you, Erica. Okay, call for the question. All those in favor? Contrary-minded? Abstentions? Motion passed. Thank you. I'll now call upon Jay Holohan, Chair of the Audit Committee, to make the recommendations for the auditors for 2026.
Thank you, Mary Jane. At this time, I'd like to make a motion that the accounting firm of NNP Chartered Professional Accountants be appointed as auditors for the year 2026 for the Sydney Credit Union.
Thank you. Can I have a seconder for that motion? Okay. Mary Wilson. Thank you, Mary. Call for the question. All those in favor? Contrary-minded? Abstentions? Motion passed. Thank you, Jay. Okay, now I'm going to call upon our CEO, Caleb Gibbons, to come forward to announce the Employee Service Awards.
Thanks, Mary Jane. So it's interesting and pretty common across the credit union system that we've got a huge amount of long tenure employees, so it's kind of barbell where it's super long tenure and super short tenure. As you'll notice in our 4 branches, the staff is very international in flavor. I often comment when we have the International Credit Union Day that we could put our own staff pictures rather than the stock photos that they send out. But we do have a couple of service awards that we'd like to hand out tonight. There's a total of 4, 2 of which I'll give out tonight. The other 2 I'll be giving out at the branches. So the first one is for Lisa Antonella LeBlanc, who's celebrating her 20-year anniversary with the firm. She certainly doesn't look old enough to be working here that long. Thank you so much. The second award is for Christine, we know her as Chris McPherson, and she's celebrating 25 years at Sydney Credit Union. I will give mention to the other two awards. Lindsay LeBlanc has been with the Sydney Credit Union for 10 years, and as I said, we'll give out that award at the branch. And also, Matthew Manning is celebrating his 10th year with the firm. So congratulations to all four. I also wanted to congratulate both of our outgoing directors. First of all, Jay Holohan, who you just saw up, nominating MMP as our auditors for next year. He's done his full term in terms of 12 years with Sydney Credit Union, and I'd like him to come up to accept a plaque on behalf of just celebrating his service. And to point out as well, he also did over a decade at the Whitney Board before joining the Sydney Credit Union Board. And the other board member that's leaving us at this juncture is Ron Neville. I'd like Ron to come up as well. And he's been on the board at Sydney Credit Union and a fantastic contributor for the last 7 years.
Thank you, Caleb. Okay, we're almost at the end. Thank you for your patience. Is there any other new business? Okay, hearing none. Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah.
Thank you for the question. Yeah, parking has been a big issue, which we did know once we got the construction underway. The negotiation with Lawtons was quite an extended negotiation. It was either negotiate on a bilateral basis or really have the city get involved, because we needed a certain number of spaces for cranes once the steel comes in and we start erecting the building. Their concern, obviously, is that it would impinge on their ability to have parking for the professional offices and the store themselves. So a lot of horse trading back and forth. We needed 7 spaces. They requested 10 in return. So that's the reason why you see those Lawton signs there. We have taken some spaces for staff over towards Center 200 by the Tim Hortons. Mike Kenny has leased some spaces to us at the Kenny's. So we're trying to get as many cars out of the way to make room for members, but it is, I understand, quite constraining in terms of the number of spaces there. So there was quite a story behind that, and to the extent we can, we're trying to get staff nearby to make more spaces for member parking.
Thank you. Thank you, Caleb. Is there any other new business?
I just wondered, I know, having been on the board before, that we were losing membership because of age and different factors. I just wondered how we're doing again at this point.
Yeah, so if you look at, in particular with respect to the reference technology spend on a per member basis, that's order of magnitude around $250 per member. All of Atlantic would be in much better shape if we were spreading that cost across 450,000 members rather than the 275 odd that we have right now. So certainly it is a big effort of ours to try and grow the membership. One of our business lines in terms of dealer loans does bring in a substantial number of members per year. The challenge with that business in particular is that it's a single product. They're signing up for a loan. They really don't understand how a cooperative, how a credit union is different from a bank. They see their member share, and that's one of the roles for Jared and his team, is to turn those into multi-product members. We know on a North America-wide basis that even where both parents are credit union members, in 60% of the cases, the kids don't bank with a credit union. So a lot of it is trying to increase share of wallet. We know that a lot of credit union members do bank elsewhere. So a lot of times the value can be in your existing members rather than having a huge expense trying to acquire new members. but it is something that we're continually working on in terms of trying to grow that. So even in terms of flipping the switch from a leakage of 1% to 2% per year to flat line and then having that growth. So we did have a positive uptick in the last year, but for all of Atlantic, it's been fairly stagnant. We haven't seen tremendous growth, but it's something we certainly are focused on. So hopefully that answers your question.
What I wondered is, having gone to St. Rebecca's, and I get the alumni magazine, and they're pushing TD Bank insurance and that kind of thing, like, it just doesn't seem right to me that this is a credit union involvement, and I just wonder, and I agree, like, I tried to have a granddaughter join the credit union, had a bank account, and because it was so little in the bank account, because she's a child, they closed her account, so she's probably lost to the credit union system now. And just things like that, really have to be looked at, in my opinion.
No, I appreciate that, and we do certainly have accounts where, until a certain age, the accounts are free of fees. I believe it's up until the age of 24 at this point. Some of the challenges we have in terms of trying to attract and have attractive packages for new Canadians is that a lot of times if they're pledging funds on a deposit, those are getting directed to some of that big five that I mentioned. So it's hard for us to get our foot in that door. So oftentimes if that's their first experience or that's the first bank that they're having experience with, it's even harder for us to make our pitch. But we do continually try and have our name out there and show that we do have a value proposition. I think in terms of the youth, in terms of why we exist, why cooperatives exist, that should resonate very well with the youth. But having that message carry through is certainly a challenge, but it's something we're working on very hard.
Down the back.
Yes, I was just wondering, I'm affiliated with another financial institution, and I was just wondering if the board of members ever thought of, when you go into the kiosks, if you could look back at your last 25 transactions, whether it's withdrawals or deposits, if you people ever thought of that?
Yeah, we've had a fairly watershed thing happen in terms of our modernization of our banking system, which is a cloud-based system, which allows us to avail ourselves either as an overall system or even on a bespoke credit union by credit union basis to take in third-party vendors for various things. AI is the talk of the town right now, and people figuring out how can they build, I guess the cute name is chatbots, but how can they build a concierge to better help their staff to do their job, better help their customers? There's several things happening across the whole banking system in terms of real-time rail, which is T0, so everything's settling same day. Open banking is another thing that you'll start to hear about as well, which makes it easier for people to transition from fintechs, from banks, from credit unions. So there's a lot of big picture things that are happening, and certainly in terms of our online offerings, very important for the youth, because a lot of the youth are not really going into the bricks and mortar. They're doing everything on that smartphone. We do have another technology, not nearly as disruptive as the banking system conversion, but basically some of the guts of our online presence in terms of the online banking and the app, and that's probably going to be happening, if not very late Q4 of 26, probably Q1 of 27.
Thank you.
Bob?
In terms of membership, what is our membership in actual numbers?
That's a great question, and it's subject to a lot of debate. So if you look at League Data, which is our systems aggregator, they would put our membership number at a much higher number because they charge on a per member basis. So we're always wrestling that down to what we would see as reality. So right now I would peg the overall membership at 14,000. of which about 1,100 of those are non-personal accounts. So that could be associations, not-for-profits, corporates. Commercial's been a big focus of ours. That's been growing at double-digit in terms of the loan portfolio for the last 2 years. And I think, we're not going to, nor do we want another steel plant. So I think the SMEs, those small to medium-sized enterprises, enticing their staff to come on board as members, having, as many products as we offer, 3.5 products is the place that we would like to drive it. But I would put a defendable number at 14,000, of which about 1,100 are non-personal accounts.
You should probably just stay here. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. So we can move to adjournment. So before we have the motion to adjourn, I wanted to let you know that there is a room at the back, and there's some light refreshments there and opportunity to socialize. So if I can have a motion to adjourn. Jay, his last time. Okay, and our time of adjournment is 6:45. Thank you, everyone, for your attendance. Much appreciated.